Today, we are going to explain and analyze the recent trademark filings by Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, for her American Riviera Orchard brand. Hey there, this is attorney Sarah Holmes of Holmes Business Law PC. We are a business and trademark law firm that also offers general counsel subscription services to clients. Now, we were able to dig into the trademark database and locate 3 separate filings related to the American Riviera Orchard brand. Now, first things first, we file a lot of trademark applications. So this is my 11th year running my own law firm. I have filed hundreds and hundreds of trademark applications for different clients. What we've done is we always advise on whether a mark is good or not, what makes a good mark, what makes a bad mark, what are our thoughts on this American Riviera Orchard mark. Quite frankly, number one, it's probably unique enough that hopefully it won't overlap with already existing or registered marks in the database. That's always like a big concern when people come up with a business brand or name is, can I get through the search? Is there already something out there that's too similar and I'm going to get a refusal? So for that reason, it might be a good mark. Now, the reason why I don't think it's a great mark is it's extremely wordy. So notice even when I talk about it and I say American Riviera Orchard, I really have to slow down and say that because it's quite a mouthful, right? And at least aesthetically, as far as branding goes, to get a trademark for that, that name is going to have to be on the packaging of everything that somebody does. Even if they want to abbreviate it, let's say in the future, as ARO, if the trademark applications themselves are not for ARO, which they are not, that is not going to be covered by the trademark, and it has to be really spelled out every time they want to use it to keep their trademark protection. So for that reason, I don't think it's the best mark that somebody could have come up with, and presumably they might have paid a branding agency quite a lot of money to come up with that idea for them. So that would be our opinion on whether that's a good or bad mark and why. Now, as far as the applications that were filed, there's 3 different ones. There are 2 for the name, American Riviera Orchard, and there's 1 for the logo with the fancy script, with the cipher or drawing above it, with the ornate, I suppose, initials in the middle of it. So what exactly are these trademark applications for and what do they cover? The first thing is that there was an initial application filed first for American Riviera Orchard, just the name, that covered certain categories, mostly to do with household items. So things like household linens and maybe some glassware, things like that. And that had quite a bit of categories in it on its own. But the question was, did they originally forget some other uses they wanted to use it for? And then what they did was they filed a subsequent trademark a little bit later, also incorporating a lot of other categories. So for example, in the application they filed March 14th, some of the categories are things like gardening implementations, gardening trowels, string lights, stationery, bags, tote bags, string bags, pillows, household decor, candle holders, household items and fabrics, curtains, throw pillows, beach blankets, picnic blankets, aprons, scarves, yoga mats, pet feeding mats, meditation blankets, yoga bolsters, yoga blankets. And then we get to the food goods. So honey butter, dried fruits, kits of oils, coffee, tea, seasonings, spices, cookies, biscuits, crackers, pet food, edible pet treats, birdseed, match boxes, match holders, retail store services. So she might have an inclination to actually open a retail store, and the retail store services would be featured custom and printed stationery, holiday cards, greeting cards, announcements. So that is a whole lot of stuff, right? So obviously they intend to use the mark in a really wide variety of different goods and services. Now, that was just the goods and services filed in one application. There is another application that was filed that had in it tableware, meaning knives, forks, spoons, table cutlery, downloadable cookbooks, recipe books, printed cookbooks, coffee services in the nature of tableware, which is like a tea service, that type of tableware, textile tablecloths, napkins. Here, then we also have the jam and jelly marmalade categories, retail store services featuring foods, books, tableware, table goods, table linens, and then online downloadable ebooks in the field of cookbooks and recipe books. So many categories of goods and services, right? So that is a whole lot of merchandise and items that it looks like they intend to use American Riviera Orchard in connection with. Now, the way these applications were filed is on an intent to use basis, which basically means that as of the date this was filed, they were not actually using this name in connection with goods or services. Since that time, you see that Meghan Markle released on Instagram jars of the jam showing American Riviera Orchard on it. So that could be maybe considered a first use, maybe a use in commerce, maybe not if she didn't have them available for sale, but at least maybe establishing a first date of use. Because what's going to happen with these applications, filing on an intent to use basis, is at some point in the future, probably 15, 18 months down the road, she would have to file another filing with a lot more filing fees, actually submitting evidence of use in all of those categories that I rattled off. Now, that's a really, honestly, short time frame to have launched all those different products with their branding on them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the applications and, in fact, which ones they end up using them for categories and which ones they might decide to abandon or that they're not going to pursue. Now, the third application is the logo one with the name, with the cipher above it, with the initials. As far as a logo and our opinion on that as trademark lawyers, it looks a little convoluted. It's a little messy. It's not quite centered. It's just kind of like a messy logo, so that if you were thinking of like a really clean design, really clean thing for printing purposes to put on your products, that might not be something we tell people is like an amazing thing to go with. But again, that's neither here nor there. That's part of the trademark application. So again, in the logo filing, there are very similar categories also applied for the tableware, the cookbooks. We've got one for string lights, lamps, lanterns, printed cookbooks, all kinds of stationery type items, bags again, the pillows and the household, sort of soft products like that, coffee and tea services, textiles, aprons, scarves, the yoga mats, pet mats, the meditation and yoga items, the jam, jelly, marmalade, and other edibles, nut butters, coffee, tea, spices, pet food, pet treats, birdseed, matchboxes, the retail store again, and the online cookbooks and recipe books. So it looks like she has an intent to use all these things in connection with the name, the logo, across a whole wide category and spectrum of goods. So it'll be very interesting to see what types of categories she ultimately ends up branding and selling. So, of course, if you ever have questions about a trademark, you can feel free to reach out to our office. Our number is 215-482-0285. Thanks.